Hello, beloved community. Welcome. I'm Anahita Joon, and I'm so excited to be sitting today with this beautiful sister, Marguerite Rigoglioso. I practiced it and then I started to lose it. So let's learn about our beloved guest. Marguerite is a PhD. She's also the founder of Seven Sisters Mystery School, a world-renowned teacher of sacred knowledge and the foremost authority on the history of virgin birth. Ooh, a trusted mentor to people on healing and the spiritual path. She draws on her decades-long research and experience with Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene to help uncover their hidden, timeless teachings and apply them to our present-day needs. You can learn more, read more, connect with Marguerite, but we're just so happy to have you here today with us. Welcome.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here, Anahita. Thanks for inviting me.
Yay! Oh, I'm just so excited to dive into this because nobody else is speaking about Mother Mary, and so I have so many questions. Can you tell us a little bit about the Seven Sisters Mystery School?
Yes, it's something that I founded in 2012 when I was guided to weave together my academic information with the more esoteric in an experiential kind of situation for people, and also to open my practice as a clairvoyant reader. So I named it after the seven sisters of the Pleiades,
Yeah.
right? The seven star mothers of the world by many traditions, according to many traditions. And I just knew that was going to be a really wonderful umbrella under which I could do many different, teach about, and do rituals for many different topics. So it's been a wonderful journey over the past, 13 years. Let's see, it'll be about 13 years now. Yeah.
Yeah, powerful, beautiful. Love the Pleiades. Love the Pleiades.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're saying you had an academic background and then you were merging that with the esoteric, and I assume that was part of you claiming. Had you identified as a priestess before, or was that kind of shift part of you claiming your own priestess path? What can you tell us a
Yeah,
little?
the opening of the school was really went hand in hand with me claiming the priestess title, which I still, even to this day, I don't really use it so much. I more use sacred woman or, sacred server, that kind of thing. But yeah, priestess server, the holy woman, was an identity that I definitely stepped into a little bit more and began to empower other people to do so as well through various trainings that I was offering and still offer.
Mhm. The trainings that you offer, so that's kind of centered around entering into this path of the priestess, even though you're saying that you don't, it is, yeah. So
Yeah,
do
yeah,
for that.
yeah. Yes, in the Greek, it's hiereia, which means just holy woman, right? That's the term for priestess.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, I mean, I don't know if this is exactly answering your question because I started thinking about the hiereia.
Yeah. That's
Um, but but yeah, I mean, I've offered different types of trainings, and the new one coming up is the Mary and Magdalene priestess training. So really stepping onto the path as a living Mary, as a living Magdalene, and I think that's somewhat unique. I know that some sisters have been teaching about the Magdalene path, but I don't know that anyone's actually woven it with the Mother Mary path. So that's what we're exploring because my new book just came out, The Secret Life of Mother Mary. And so that's kind of like, the foundation for what we're going to be doing.
oh, wonderful. So, oh gosh, I have so many questions because you're right. There's so much more now about Magdalene and also then the weaving of them together, which is so powerful. The Secret Life of Mother Mary, how did you write that? Like, where does that come from? Where-
Right. I mean, for a while now, I've been a researcher into divine birth, right? And so I wrote a dissertation, and then that turned into two books about this whole practice of women being able to do divine conception as a high priestess practice throughout the world. And I was really focusing mainly on the ancient Mediterranean world and Greece in particular. But of course, as I went into that, Mother Mary was front and center with it. And yet I kind of put that research a little bit to the side in publishing this background material on it. But 3 years ago, I wrote The Mystery Tradition of Miraculous Conception, which is really about Mother Mary and her lineage and their practice to bring forth their whole like spirit pod, including Jesus, to the planet for this sacred Sophia Christos mission. And then I had already been starting to research who Mother Mary was, but I went into that much more deeply. And so recently, just a couple of weeks ago in July 2024, this book came out. And it's really about what Mother Mary did, a little bit for the divine conception of Jesus, but not, I don't focus so much on that. It's really more what Mother Mary was doing during and after the during Jesus' life and after the crucifixion, and how she was a leader of the church and all of these things we never hear about her. So, it was just a natural road as I was getting into this material about divine birth to get into Mother Mary, and then to find out much, much more about who she is along the lines of what has been done about Mary Magdalene for the past 40 years, which I jumped in on that bandwagon back in the 90s. I too was teaching about that. And so in this new book, I also continue to talk about Mary Magdalene also and her special roles, not only with Jesus, but with Mother Mary. Mysteries.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that just sounds so beautiful to me. And I do want to circle back before we move forward with the holy woman, Yere? Is that how you say
Yerea,
it?
Yerea.
Yere, is because I do think priestess, some people are really called to that, and then some people may not quite resonate with that word, but I think then just the holy woman can just sort of,
Yeah.
align us to that sort of devotional seat that maybe in any of us where it might just be an easier alignment. So I love that you brought that in. And when you talk about Mother Mary and sort of what she was doing in preparation and then also her role after, can you illuminate some of those things for us? It would be awesome to just.
Yeah. I mean, she was, first of all, she was divinely born by her mother Anne, which is a little known fact, but that of course I discuss extensively in the previous book, The Mystery Tradition of Miraculous Conception. So these were women who knew about the womb mysteries and the womb masteries. They were practicing all of these abilities. And so Mother Mary was very early on trained from the time of infancy by her mother and by these virgins who from the temple, who her mother would bring into her room that she created as a shrine for Mother Mary. And then Mother Mary, as a 3-year-old, was given over to the temple to further her education in learning how to do divine conception and all of these other many activities that we then learn about she was able to do in some of her other stories and biographies and so forth. So she really was a major, well, Sri Kaleshwar said she was the most advanced master who ever walked the planet, bar none, including Jesus, And so she was a high, holy, sacred woman, right? She already had a divine energy, a divine pedigree by virtue of how she was born, because that practice was meant to bring in these divine avatars, like people who had a vibration that was above the normal, right? So she was already above the normal. She received many different kinds of trainings, and then she stepped into her ministry, with Jesus, and she helped him, she supported him, and then she also resurrected him through her womb, according to the teachings of the late Hindu saint Sri Kaleshwar, that she was using these mantras and yantras and these yogic practices of how to bring people back to life. And that is indeed what she did. And so then she was the leader of the whole early Christian, if you will, enterprise. She was a teacher of Mary Magdalene. She was the head of the whole group, the men and the women. And she knew how to be a healer. She was a healer. She was an entity remover, and she knew how to accomplish her final ascension. in that which was her final lifetime, the one in which we know her as Mary. So I talk extensively about that in the book, The Secret Life of Mother Mary, her ascension process as it has been described and written down, from the early centuries after the crucifixion.
Oh my gosh, I was so moved when you started speaking about her preparation and the women and her mother and all of that. I don't know if you caught it, but I was about to burst into tears, and I actually kind of pulled myself together. Because
Yeah.
it was like we were piercing through so many, I don't know, lifetimes. There was just thing you were sharing, and I was having
Yeah.
remembrance
Yeah.
and because connecting, and it just so profound. So I want to name it also for those who are tuning in if you caught it. And also just bringing myself back to, because you're sharing stuff that's so important. For me, it's completely new. So I'm sort of at the edge of my seat. I think I just haven't gotten to it, even though I've always had I wasn't raised in Christianity. I was raised in Islam, and that
Yeah.
was a whole experience, where the feminine was completely missing. And I've had connections with Mother Mary though.
Mm.
And what I love that you were speaking about is the distinction, because you're talking about the womb mysteries and the womb. There was something else that you said. It was
Masteries.
masteries. That was what it
Yes.
was that got me,
Yeah.
because it's with Magdalene, there's a lot of connection in terms of like sacred sexuality, which is, the sexual energy, the life force. It's all very intertwined and connected. But I do feel that there's a different energetic that you are speaking about and that Mary was working with. And I feel like that's important. And
Yeah.
did she know who she was bringing through, or is it just more of like a co-creative with the divine of thy highest will be done? Or is
Right.
there, yeah.
She did it intentionally. She did through her connection with Mother Divine and through her practices. She decided to bring in an avatar, a male.
Uh-huh.
And as to whether it's Jesus' first incarnation, I mean, I tend to lean in that direction. I think Sri Kaleshwar pretty much held that he was newly created for this role. And um, she knew what she was doing, according to him and according to what I read in some of her suppressed material and my intuition about it. She was not just the passive maiden who didn't know what was happening to her and
Right.
just let herself be a vessel, a vehicle. There
Yeah.
was a lot more will involved on her part and on the part of her mother and on the part of her aunt, Elizabeth.
Mhm.
Um, and incidentally, there's more description of Mother Mary in the Quran than there is in the Christian Bible.
Yeah, there is some about her in the Quran,
Yeah,
even about her, yeah. But it's also just the archetype of mother is the, the least sort of threatening to bring. uh,
that's right.
yeah.
That's right. But she was many, many things throughout
Mhm.
her lifetime to many, many people. A real mentor, a
Yeah.
mentor to the women especially.
Yeah, I'm really getting her power even as you're speaking, like her mother and her sister and the mm, yeah, just the connection that they had with themselves and with the divine
That's
to
right. That's right.
it's so significant. And
Yeah.
you're saying that it's possible for women these days to step into this path.
Yes, absolutely. Because Mary was originally Mary. That's what it would have been from the Egyptian. And
Mhm.
it was connected with Isis,
Yeah,
who Rudolf Steiner says was the incarnation of Mother Mary just prior to the lifetime that we know her as Mary. So she's been going through the ages,
yeah,
trying out different things.
yeah,
And Mary was an Isis title that meant divine love. It
yeah.
meant the one who is love, the one who is loved, and the one who loves.
Mhm.
So it got turned into Miriam or Mariam, and then Maria, and then Mary. So it's really a priestess title that unites people across time. And there's even, that's what we call that stream, but it's a timeless um, eternal stream of feminine, power
Mhm.
that is that priestess energy of that lineage into which these other women, stepped or were initiated. Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary's sister, was also a Mary. She also became a Mary and was one of the three who walked alongside Jesus at all times. And there were other Marys in the Bible, in the Christian Bible. And so this is a pathway that I am encouraging women to step into today. And that's what I'm doing with the Mary and Magdalene Priestess training. There's also the title of Magdalene or Migdala, what have you. It means like the elevated tower, the watchkeeper of the flock. And that was a flavor that Mary Magdalene brought in. It wasn't referring to her town, it was referring to her quality of being that watchtower or being that elevated care guardian, of the flock. So she was a Mary and a Magdalene, right? And so that's what we're uniting in this priestess training that I'm doing to allow women to really just turn on the DNA of their own Maryhood and their own Magdalenehood that's really already there, right? Um, and so, uh, it allows people to go through certain Gnostic initiations that they will need, certain abilities that are essentially intuitive to people, but that they'll just need to, be led through, and various connections with even the realm of the Fae, the realm of the fairies, the realm of the Pleiades, because the Pleiades are very much involved in what the Marys were involved in as well, because they also were 7 virgin mothers of the world, right? So they're all in allied, almost even identical lineages, even though each one has like their own personality around it. And so it's time to, for women to walk in the sandals of Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene. But it's really just, again, opening to who we truly are at the divine angelic level. That's where we're going.
Mhm. Do you identify Mother Mary as an angel?
I identify her as one with Goddess now,
Mhm.
because she went from being a master to having this final ascension through all she had accomplished in all of her lifetimes and this final ritual. So she had the full merge with
Mhm.
Mother Divine. So I consider her goddess. I
Mhm.
consider her a version of Mother Divine, right? Which is like the supreme energy, the supreme creatrix energy. She is one and the same, and she can step down her frequency to be able to communicate with all of us to help lift us up.
Mhm. What does it look like when you're talking about, that women can enter the path of the Mary and Magdalene as a living experience? What is, because of some of what you've shared, like it's so potent and so mysterious and so high that, I think for myself as I'm tuning in, it's like, woo, like what is that? What does that mean? You
Yeah.
know, does it mean that I, live in a temple all day, every day? What does that mean to step in?
Exactly. Right, exactly. And the free gift that I'm giving, what is a Mary? It's a master class. What is a Mary priestess? What is a Magdalene priestess? And is this a path for you? I will be delving exactly into this topic. All right. But briefly, um, it's about living in the regular old world here. You don't necessarily have to go into some kind of seclusion or cave or monastery or anything like that. It's about being, in India, they call it the householder, being the householder and the Holy One at the same time, right? So walking with as high a vibrational frequency as we can. Um, And for some women, that will mean also being in service at a particular level or in a particular way that suits their temperament, characteristic, and their desires. So uh, it also means going through a certain level of character development. So we're going to be in this training, for example, we're going to be looking at the 7 virtues, which I call the 7 Mary virtues. And I'm going to translate them out of their dreary, they're dreary terms like, prudence and, humility and fortitude or whatever. And, using language that speaks to us today, like discernment and, strength and, all the, whatever the virtues are, loving kindness, right? Because these are the characteristics that we need to really amplify now within ourselves. First, for our own spiritual growth, ascension, if you will, and so forth. And then also because they serve as a protection for us as we move into the higher dimensions of being and knowing and seeing. So, it's just really interesting that each of those virtue vibrations then puts a kind of a field around you that makes you less susceptible to certain kinds of energies and negativity and so forth. And of course, love being the best one, love being the highest vibration. So it's a bit of personality development. It's a bit of personal healing because we're so many of us are still healing the trauma. And it's a bit of just moving into higher level powers. Okay. And higher level understandings.
Yeah. You talked about you being clairvoyant in the beginning when we were first speaking. How does that tie into how this has all come together for you in terms of being able to connect the dots and
yeah. I wouldn't say, Anahita, that I was like born super psychic or anything like that. I had to go through a training. The way I was communicated with by spirit was mostly through amazing synchronicities. Like that was the main gift that I had. But I did have to go through a psychic skill training for several years in order to develop one or more of my clairs, right? Like the clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience. It means clear, feeling, seen, done. My greatest skill is claircognizance or oracle ability, like direct knowing, right? And so that's what I realized, that I was even outside the bounds of my psychic class that I was taking, the training that I was taking. And I realized, okay, this is who I am, and this is my gift. And so this is what I'm going to teach others. So years ago, I taught the Priestess of the Dove Oracle training to really help women cultivate, open the chakras needed for this kind of direct knowing, because we need to be able to see and sense at higher dimensional levels so that we can know what's really going on and make the changes that are needed for us on the planet.
And how does that connect to the womb mastery?
So, the womb is also a zone of perception, seeing, knowing, and transmission within the body. I used to, of course, in psychic school, you're trained just to think that the upper chakras are the ones that are all about knowing and seeing. But I'm realizing more and more that, all of the chakras are, and also especially the womb, which is a portal for souls to literally be able to come through into this dimension. So, and there's a lot of magical ability that people can develop when they go through certain trainings with mantras and yantras that are part of the Holy Womb Chakra system, that I have learned and that I also teach from Kaleshwar's lineage, right? Which goes back thousands of years to the material that was on the ancient palm leaves. So I've seen changes happen in my own life as a result of incorporating these practices and in the lives of other people. So we're all kind of taking steps here, right? With these various trainings and awakenings and understandings and clearings. Yeah. So that Holy Womb Chakra part is like, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, well, I'm so interested in that conversation.
Yeah. And, Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene were front and center with that, because they, according to Sri Kaleshwar, they used the very mantras that were part of that ancient Holy Womb system. And they actually contributed to those manuscripts on which these materials are found. So I love that, because it just makes a seamless connection between what Sri Kaleshwar has taught in a kind of a Hindu tradition and the so-called Christian tradition, right? There's no, there's a unification going on. And we can see, the esoteric teachings that unite all spiritualities around the planet, really.
Ah, gosh, I feel so the importance of what you're sharing for those who are called to be in leadership and specifically in service to the divine feminine.
Yeah.
I love that you're speaking about the unification, from the Hindu side and the Christian side, and
Yeah. And the fairy side and the star side, this Pleiadian side. I mean, you really see the unity of everything when you start walking the path of the Mary and the Magdalene. That's what my book's about. That's what the training's going to be about, because we really need to weave all this together. And interestingly, this would be why Mother Mary was part of the weavers, the temple weavers. They were not just weaving cloth, they were weaving many things into incarnation.
yeah. Uh, well, and it's also, as you were saying that, I was just seeing so clearly, well, it's just a frequency match. You're talking about the Hindus, the Pleiades, and it doesn't matter, what the outfit is. It doesn't matter what the cover is. It's just a frequency match and all the different ways that something is being held and emanated over and over, and these points to connect, and it's all in service to the same thing.
That's right. And it's important for me to say that what I'm doing in the priestess training as well is not about getting into a dogmatic stream of, behavior and priestessing that, has to be almost nun-like or anything like that. No, I'm like, wow, let's just open up this door to who these Marys, who these Magdalenes really are. And let's go with that. Yes, we can use the flavor and the fragrance of Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene and others to guide us, because we all need kind of little handrails and things like that. But ultimately, they're opening us to much greater capacities that have nothing to do with any religion. It's dogma, I would say.
Mm. Well, then tell us about the priestess training. How long is it? Who is it
Yeah.
for? What stage of spiritual development should somebody be at?
Yeah, that's right. It can be for anyone who really feels super curious about it. Unlike some other trainings where people have had to be at certain kinds of levels. No, this is for anyone who just feels the call, like perks up their ears. And in that free call, what is a Mary? What is a Magdalene? I'll be helping people to discern. People will know, like, oh my gosh, yes, this is a door that's opening for me. And it's it's for women right now. Okay, it's going to run 6 months from September 2024 through February 2025. Enrollment is happening now. Enrollment concludes August 28th, and there's an in-person retreat that's optional that people can do in October, the Indigenous Columbus Day weekend. And That's going to be in New York State. And so it does not require really any background at all, except a love for the mystical, a love for the mystery, a deep desire to, touch the divine, to open the divine within you, an intrigue for what Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene were, are, and shall be. A desire to cultivate all those qualities within oneself, and maybe even a desire to take the work out in the world. Everybody's going to have some level of a project, be it small or large, and they're going to be taken through, various Gnostic initiations. And also I'm taking them through the unicorn initiations. This is something that most people don't know about, but it's hidden in the Mary tradition. All right. So, much more to be said about that.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's beautiful. So we so appreciate you. I mean, I feel like we almost need to do like a part two on the Holy Womb, because now I really want to now I really want to go into that and have that connecting the pieces. Is that something that's part of this priestess training, or is that like something different?
We touch into it, but I have a whole other online on-demand course, the Holy Womb Chakra Teachings, that people can take. And people who haven't taken it already and joined the training will be able to get that at a special price, so that after the training's over, they can go into that and really dig in with those mantras. It's like a 3-month process and practice, and it's just so worth doing.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, sister, coming in and bringing in this zest of the sacred and exciting and new. And gosh, I'm so happy to know that the energy of Mother Mary is part of this symposium, and that you're the one to bring her in.
Yeah, blessed be. Well, thank you for having me and including that part, and just many blessings to your symposium and to everybody who's watching, participating, just really, if you're interested, start tuning in to the Mary energy within you, the Magdalene energy within you. And if you need some information, read my book, The Secret Life of Mother Mary, and it will start opening your doors.
Yeah, beautiful. Absolutely. I plan to read the book. So then we can, if you, those of you who are tuning in, you're reading it, then let's, connect in the Facebook group and see what's opening up, because I'm personally very excited to read it. And we so appreciate you, Marguerite, for
Oh,
joining us and illuminating this. Um,
sure.
yeah, and sending lots of light and alone.
Thanks, honey. Yeah.
Thank you
Mm.
so much for tuning in, beloveds. Aloha.